Howdy Tamers, and welcome to another virtual pet review video. This time I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on the Monster Hunter Digimon Color, which is a collaboration between the Monster Hunter franchise and of course the Digimon franchise. Now this is a pretty fantastic love letter to both franchises. It has aspects from the Monster Hunter franchise, but of course it has everything you'd expect from a Digimon virtual pet. So first of all, you can see that it's in its cold state, which is kind of like the pause or freezer functionality. So for comparison, on the Pendulum Color or a lot of the other modern Digimon pets, it's in a fridge. On the Monster Hunter one, it is in a little book. So let's unpause that and take a look at our monster. So when I say this is a love letter, I mean that it absolutely has little bits and pieces that of course you'd expect from a Digimon virtual pet, but it has added things from the Monster Hunter franchise. So for example, when we go to our quest here, we have sounds and jingles that aren't just what we'd expect from a Digimon virtual pet. Of course the attacking bleep bloops are the same from all the other Digimon virtual pets, and so that's kind of nostalgic if you love the Digimon pets themselves. But of course, if we skip to the end, we get a little jingle from the Monster Hunter franchise. So it's a really nice mixed match of things from Digimon as well as things from Monster Hunter, which, yeah, you would expect. You'll also notice that the sprites aren't the usual just sort of coloured in pixels like we have from the other Digimon virtual pets. They're actually full, like, detailed sprites, which is a good and a bad thing. My battery's running a little bit low. So when I say it's a bad thing, I mean that because there's a limit to how much you can actually show on the screen and how detailed these sprites are, you can kind of notice that we have our Nagakuga kind of, the walk animation's more like it's sliding. It's not really like a full animation, it's just kind of sliding across the screen there. It looks like it's skiing, and that's, as I said, it's a good and a bad thing that these sprites are so detailed, that they are so nice looking, because again, it's kind of limiting to how much can actually appear on the screen itself. So yes, it's good because, yay, look at the graphics, but also if we compare it to the Pendulum Color and we unfreeze that, you can see that while this is a more of the less detailed pixel, it's kind of the animation suits the moving around the screen a little bit more, because it is just a fairly low detailed pixel sprite rather than a sprite that has a little bit more graphics to it, details to it. But yeah, so in comparison, while yes, the sprites are much nicer on the Monster Hunter, it kind of just looks a little bit like it's missing a few frames from the animation cycle there. But otherwise, it's pretty good in comparison to the Digimon pets. It, again, looks nice. The shells are very nicely detailed. They've got the scales. This is the Zenoga shell, so we've got the scales, and it looks very pretty. Of course, you can battle with any other of the Digimon Color series, so of course other Monster Hunter colors, as well as all the Digimon Color releases, such as the Pendulum Color, the Digital Monster Color, and the upcoming Godzilla Color, and of course the Digivice Color releases as well. If they're color V-pets and they have the same prongs, chances are they are compatible. So there is that. The training is the version 2 Digital Monster training, where you fill up the gauge to full, and when you don't suck at it like me, there we go, it'll be a successful training. So I am very glad that they used the training from the version 2, because 1, that was my first virtual pet as a kid, and also 2, I feel like it's not as easy as some of the trainings, but it's not as hard or as luck-based as, for example, the version 1 training, where you have to select A or B, so the first top two buttons, and it's kind of like a guessing game of what your opponent or the CPU is going to do. So I do appreciate that. Something else I noticed is we don't have any weight mechanic, it's just the everything else we'd expect. So we've got the name, we've got the age, we've got our hunger, we've got our strength, we've got our effort meter, and we've got our energy meter and our victories there. So it's got everything but the weight, which is on pretty much all the other Digimon virtual pets. And that's neither here nor there. It doesn't really change much. Of course, you can't just make it sick by feeding it until it's 99 pounds because there's no recorded weight there. The food is just kind of like you'd expect. The meat is very detailed, which is nice. And the protein, it just looks like the proteins from all the other colour virtual pets. Other than that, it's more or less the same as the other Digimon colour releases. It's got the backgrounds that you can change by holding down C, going to background, and then cycling through these backgrounds. You unlock them by evolving to certain stages or by clearing out the quest mode here. Something good about this is that it doesn't have any connection-based requirements like a lot of the other Digimon virtual pets. So if you just want one, you can do everything you need to with just the one. Because there are CPU battles, you can get the battle requirements that you need to evolve to certain forms without having to connect to anyone. The second one, of course, being the connect functionality, which is using those prongs there. You can also have one other Digimon in your backup. Again, this is pretty standard for a lot of the Digimon modern releases and the other colours, and it means you can kind of choose which monster you want to raise. The only ones that are harder to get are the Greymon Rathalos and the Garurumon Zynoga, but all you need to do is you have to raise the rest of their family, and then you'll be able to evolve to the special Digimon collaboration unique monsters, which I'm not too fond of those designs myself, but it is nice and it sort of adds that Digimon charm. Something, however, I did notice that I'm not a huge fan of about the Monster Hunter virtual pets is the fact that the backgrounds don't change depending on the time of day. So this was introduced on the Digimon Color, and the Digimon Pendulum has it as well. So if we change the time to, let's say, morning, it sort of is a brighter time, but of course if we change it to the night, which it just was, it's darker. So that's something that is a shame that they don't have on the Monster Hunter virtual pets. The background stays the same no matter what the time of day is. And it's something that I was kind of disappointed by. Yes, it's not a huge removal in terms of not having that feature. It doesn't change the gameplay at all. But when I noticed that the Digimon Color was doing that, I thought that was a great little hidden feature, or not really hidden, but like little subtle feature where the backgrounds change to dawn, dusk, day, night. Everything. It just seemed like a nice little thing that made it feel more alive. The Monster Hunter one doesn't really do that. However, it does have something that I believe not many other virtual pets have this. It's something that the Pendulum Progress had, where depending on what time it evolves or what time you look after it, impacts what Digimon you're going to get. So on the Monster Hunter one, depending on what time it evolves, it helps determine different evolution paths that it might take. That's a cute little unique feature that it has. Again, the Pendulum Progress had something similar. If you trained it at certain times, that would determine what evolution path you were going to get. So I like that that's an added feature. That's kind of cool. And again, it's a nice little different change that makes it feel different from all the other virtual pets. It's not just, oh, this is just the exact same as the Digimon Color, but with Monster Hunter sprites instead. It's got a little bit more than that, which is definitely a good thing. But yeah, so I am a pretty big fan of these. I do like the Monster Hunter franchise. I'm not super well versed in it, but I know enough to enjoy this. Though having said that, you could probably enjoy this virtual pet even if you're just a fan of the Digimon virtual pets or virtual pets in general, you get the general idea. They're just more cool guys to raise. The sprites are cute, even if it seems like they're kind of sliding across the screen because, again, maybe the old sprites do slide across the screen, but it doesn't look as jarring because they are less detailed. Because these are more detailed, the animation sprites, you kind of notice the cycle is just sliding or missing a few frames. In terms of where I got these, I got mine from Zen and TCG. Of course, you can get them from where other places you'd expect. So Japan You Want had them. You of course can get them from proxy sites like From Japan or Buyee. You can get them from Hobby Genki, but I would absolutely not recommend using Hobby Genki. I've had terrible experiences with them. I've spoken to other people who've had terrible experiences with them. So I would definitely steer clear of Hobby Genki, but I would always recommend proxy services or Zen and TCG for a lot of these releases. This video is not sponsored by any of them. I have been sponsored by both Zen and TCG and Buyee in the past. I haven't been sponsored by From Japan, but I would still recommend those three over any other services. So proxy services being they order it for you and then you tell them to ship it to you. Zen and TCG is a retailer based in Singapore. So those are your options in terms of picking these up. So while these were premium Bandai exclusive in Japan, they are available in places like EB Games, or a lot of local card game stores are getting them, at least in Australia. So that does make it easy to access. Because Bandai released so many waves of these, they aren't being as scalped as previous premium Bandai exclusives, so that's good. So these ones are easier to pick up than the other Color series releases, so that is a good thing. But having said that, I would still recommend, if you want one, to pick one up sooner rather than later. Again, I'm fairly certain EB Games' release for these is July, so even you're in Australia and they still have pre-orders open, I'd recommend doing that because it's local at least and the release is pretty soon. Otherwise, anywhere else that I mentioned. So do I recommend this and is it worth the money? Absolutely, especially if you're a fan of both Monster Hunter and Digimon releases. Of course, again, I'd even recommend it to people who maybe don't know too much about the Monster Hunter franchise because it's pretty cool and you just get some more monsters to raise. It's always something that I'm surprised that we never got a Tamagotchi Nano collaboration with, but honestly, it works even better with Digimon. So yes, it's absolutely worth the money, especially if you get one before the prices go up a little bit. I did say that because they were released, that so many of them were released, they're not going to be as scalped as much and people aren't going to flip them as much as other releases, but still, I'd still recommend picking one up sooner rather than later. So yes, I absolutely recommend them. Basically, full marks for enjoyment, full marks for ease of use. It's a fun virtual pet and it has a lot of charm from the Monster Hunter franchise while still having everything you'd expect from a Digimon virtual pet. So in any case, those are my thoughts. If there's anything that I was vague about or if you want any other information, let me know in the comment section below. There's also the unboxing video where I went over bits and pieces with it as well, so check out that video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have subscribed, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies. Like this video for more cool Digimon Color releases that are both unique and the same in the best possible way. And of course, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!